Good morning, Holly.
Good morning, Dargan.
We would like to welcome all of you, our webinar attendees, to the Senior Network. I am your host, Dargan Davis, and I am with Senior Resources, and I'm joined today by my co-host, Holly Van Horn from Lori Life and Health. We are very excited to hear today's speaker. We have Mr. T.K. Bradford joining us, and Mr. Bradford is filling in for Ms. Price today as she was unable to join us. And Mr. Bradford is going to be presenting about the state of mental health for seniors in South Carolina.
We're going to give our guests a couple more minutes to log in, and we'll start the program in a few minutes. If you are new, we'd love to know where you are from. Just drop us your city in the chat box, and we're going to be right back.
Welcome to the Senior Network. I want to thank all of you for joining us today. Today's episode is being recorded and it will be available later this afternoon to view on our website at seniorresourcesinc.org, and you'll also be able to find that link on our social media channels. Before we begin our interview with Mr. Bradford, I would like to take a minute and just tell you a little bit about Senior Resources and the services and programs that we offer. Senior Resources is a nonprofit organization that coordinates services and provides resources to senior citizens living here in Richland County. All activities, services, and programs that we offer at Senior Resources are all geared towards helping the seniors live in their homes and remain independent as long as possible. Our largest program that we have is our Meals on Wheels program, and it serves 600 seniors and disabled adults with a daily hot, nutritious meal to their home Monday through Friday. We also have a home care program, which provides personal care services, and a transportation program known as Senior Wheels that provides door-to-door transportation to doctor's appointments and other medical related trips. We have Pet Pals, which provides our clients' pets with a monthly supply of pet food. We also, through AmeriCorps Seniors, have a foster grandparent and senior companion program. We have 4 community wellness centers located throughout Richland County where seniors go and they gather to have a hot meal and fellowship together and enjoy some physical fitness. Most recently, we also just launched our Senior Lunch Bunch in 2021, and this unique program gives seniors throughout the community a chance to come together at a local restaurant and have a meal together and enjoy some fellowship. And then we also have the Senior Network, which is also one of our newest programs here at Senior Resources. And it is designed to connect seniors virtually in the comfort of their homes to many resources. I'm going to turn it over to Holly now. She's going to tell us a little bit about Lori Life and Health.
Thank you, Dargan. Good morning. I'm Holly Van Horn. I'm the Community Relations Coordinator at Lori Life and Health, and it's so great to be back with you today. I hope you've been enjoying this wonderful webinar series, and we're having a lot of fun bringing each month a new guest to you, and hope that you're finding it very informative. We're proud to partner with Senior Resources on this, and I would love to take a minute to tell you a little bit more about Lori Life and Health. We're an independent insurance agency based right here in Columbia, and we specialize in Medicare, health, and life insurance. Our mission is to educate you on all the options available and help you make a decision that meets your needs and budget. We can assist you in person or over the phone, and our services are at no cost. You can find more information at our website, which is www.lorilifeandhealth.com. And now it's my pleasure to introduce today's speaker, Mr. T.K. Bradford. T.K. was born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and is one of 6 children, and he currently resides in Columbia. He joined the Premier team as Chief Operating Officer in December 2017. He brings with him over 25 years of successful experience in business management, business consulting, and marketing. Mr. Bradford is president of the Bradford Group of Companies, LLC, which consists of the Bradford Group Financial Service Company, the Bradford Group World Leadership and Personal Growth Institute, and the Bradford Group MA Division. The Bradford Group of Companies has offices both in Pittsburgh and Columbia. He's a former member, board chair, or president of many organizations in Western Pennsylvania and the South Carolina Midlands area. Mr. Bradford has served as chairman, president, executive board member, and/or consultant to various organizations, including Boy Scouts of America, WQED Executive Business Partners, Parent Community School Council, Pittsburgh Public Schools, amongst others. In addition, he's a founding member and past president of Toastmaster International Chapter 1104 and a member of the National Speakers Association. Welcome, Mr. Bradford.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, man, who was that guy? He sounds impressive. He sounds impressive. Good grief. Hey, thank you very much. This is exciting for me. I think the world of senior resources, and it's so important for this network to be in existence, to make sure that seniors are getting all the resources that they can. So, as I mentioned to Beth, who's behind the scenes, that I've been doing public speaking for a long time, and I don't necessarily like traditional public speaking. I don't know if anybody on this call has been to any of my presentations before, but I really prefer and love audience participation in a presentation. So I have 4 questions for the group, and I really want you to blow that chat box up. They are, number 1, what is mental health? And we're going to do these questions before we get on. I want to get an understanding of what this group understands about mental health. Second question, why is mental health important for overall health? And I'll repeat these if necessary. Why is mental health important for overall health? Number 3, are mental health and mental illness the same thing? Are mental health and mental illness the same thing? And the 4th question is, do seniors really have mental health issues? So I'm curious to see what some of the answers that we're getting, if any. So yeah, if you just take a few seconds and respond to those questions, and those questions are going to show up in the. Oh, good. We got one response. Very good answer. Yeah, and I don't know if everybody can see all the answers, but yeah, we've got one person responding. Okay. And I'll read the questions again. What is mental health? Why is mental health important for overall health? Are mental health and mental illness the same? And number 4, do seniors really have mental health issues? And I'll give everybody just a few more seconds to respond and see what's coming up in the chat box. Oh man, we got some smart folks on the call. Yeah, mental health is our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. Mental health is general state of well-being. The mind and the body are connected, so it's tough to have one without the other. Fantastic answer. Mental health is not mental illness. Great answer and absolutely correct. Anyone at any age can face mental health challenges. Great answer. Great answer. Well, we got a sharp group on today. So I'm going to, and if any more come up, that's fine. I'll, we'll look at those. One of the things being a somewhat of a history buff, I like to understand the history of certain things. We're going to be talking today about the state of mental health in South Carolina. And in doing so, we probably want to understand one thing about South Carolina, that early in the 18th century, mental illness was a big problem, and people weren't sure exactly what to do about the mentally ill. And it was what happened to a person who was deemed mentally ill depended on their social status, where they lived, and any other medical conditions that they may have. Overall, in the 18th century, and even moving into I would say the 20th, even the 21st century, mental illness was viewed as a private matter and a family responsibility. And it was expected that, the family would take care of people who had any sorts of mental health issues. And it wasn't very uncommon not to find people who were deemed mentally ill in workhouses or debtors' prisons even. So South Carolina, surprisingly enough, was a little ahead of the curve when it comes to mental illness. And some of the stuff I remember, and some of it I'll have to look at a couple of notes to jog my memory. Let me see. Let me check the chat box real quick to see if there's anybody. Okay. Oh, mental illness is an illness that affects our emotional side. Okay, great. All right. South Carolina, believe it or not, was at the forefront of seeing mental illness as something that needed to be addressed as a government issue. And actually, South Carolina was 23rd, 25th, I believe, over in the country for funding mental health illness. And it started with Colonel Samuel Farrow Road relationship, who was a member of the House of Representatives at the time, and William Crafts, who was a member of the Senate. And they worked very relentlessly to sensitize the fellow lawmakers to the needs of the mentally ill. And on December 20th, 1821, the South Carolina state legislature passed a state law approving $30,000 to build, listen to this, the South Carolina Lunatic Asylum. You just can't use those sorts of phrases today. But again, that made South Carolina one of the first states in the nation to provide funding for the care and treatment of people with mental illness. And it's so get that little bit of history, let's move into, and if anybody has any questions about anything that I just presented, please feel free to put that in the chat box. What does mental illness look like today in South Carolina? It looks very different than it did even 5 to 10 years ago. I've been involved with the mental health community, even though I'm not a licensed therapist like Janae and the rest of the members of the team. I have been involved with mental illness for many, many years. My sister was the head of the Psych Nurses Union for the District of Columbia. So I can remember conversations as a child with her about, mental illness and what goes on and how politics affects it. And also from the fact that I have raised a nephew of mine who's developmentally challenged and legally blind. I've raised him since I was 13 years of age. Excuse me for bumping the camera. So I've been doing this a long, long time, and I understand it have been very close to it for a number of years. So when I talk about what does South Carolina look like today, the state of mental illness today, what we see is a change in what the seniors themselves think about mental illness. As I mentioned previously, and this is the reason I brought up some of the history, it was deemed a family matter or even a church matter in many cases. So people thought of it as it was more of a private matter than a public matter, again, until 1821. And even then, after that, it was still considered somewhat of a taboo subject, and people didn't want to talk about it. People didn't want to, you didn't want the public to know that you had family members who had mental health issues. So there was a stigma attached to mental health illness. And what we're seeing is a change, a drastic change in how people feel about mental health illness. And when I need to, do hospitals still have one? Okay, I'll get to that in a minute. But what we're seeing is we get calls constantly. Again, I've had to turn my phone off because we get calls constantly to the point our corporate liaison who takes intakes, does our intake, gets overwhelmed. So calls roll over to me, and it's a good thing and it's an awful thing at the same time that we get so many calls to help seniors. The good thing that I'm really glad about is that people are more open about it. When I can remember growing up, and even up until, like I said, 5 years ago, if you were to talk to probably a traditional pastor at a traditional church congregation about coming in and talking about mental illness, they wouldn't, they weren't interested, because that was something that the family or the church would take care of. When I speak to, I would say 40, I don't want to be age discriminatory, but in general, when I speak to a 40 and under pastor or church leader, and we talk to them about, possibly coming in and doing a presentation about behavioral health or mental health, they are wide open to it. And the number of calls that we get on a daily basis and the number of referrals that we get from organizations throughout the state, Premier Counseling is a statewide organization. We don't have enough just clearly, there are not enough qualified licensed people in this state to handle the need. And that's what I would love to see take place, is, more people getting licensed to handle this service. You've got so many situations, and the reason I asked is the question, do seniors really have mental health issues? Because the stigma that went along with mental health, as people come out of that mindset that mental health is a problem, we're seeing all of these issues come from these seniors that go back to some of them childhood. Couple of the things that we're seeing, one of the issues, couple of things that we're going to talk about, couple of reasons that we see some problems in the community are, especially we do a lot of work in assisted living communities. There are a lot of people living in assisted living communities who are starting to outlive their funds. There's a lot of stress and a lot of pressure on the senior population to, where are they going to live? And we see it throughout the state, where we're talking with an executive director of a assisted living community, and they'll say, Tim, this person's running out of money. We don't know what to do. And, so then they have to shift them to a place that has maybe lesser amenities, or amenities that may not be as nice as that they thought they would have until their, final days. So this is causing a lot of stress. One of the other major stressors are family matters. Um, I've got to tell you, money, it's very disturbing to see how money affects the behavior of family members who are supposed to be taking care of a loved one in an assisted living community. And it's very distressing. We deal with that on a regular basis. Again, statewide, it's not, you know, relegated or it's not unique to any particular region. It's a statewide issue. One of the other features, and we do one of the other things, and you know, I don't know. Somebody flagged me when I'm supposed to be done. What are some of the things that cause? Okay, we'll get to those. We'll get to the questions in a minute. One of the other things that Premier has an assisted living or outside division, but we also have a home-based division as well. So we're seeing things like, and South Carolina is 84% rural. I'm not sure how many people realize that. So we get into situations where we see seniors who don't have the things that they need, even though they have access, but even though there are programs available for them, in many cases, they don't have the access to how to get to the programs, and they're rural. So, you know, some of those, and many of them can't get to the programs that even are available. And oddly enough, they can't get to them for a number of reasons. Some of the reasons are that they just don't have the transportation, but then other reasons are they fall into this depression because, you know, they've got so many struggles. Their kids don't see them. They may be taking care of their children's grandchildren. You know, because in a rural setting, you know, you might not have another house for, you know, a mile down the road or things like that. So, you know, I've been in a home where I'm pretty sure the temperature was 120 degrees, and the person was sitting there, and I asked about the air conditioning system, and I asked about the fan there was a ceiling fan, but it was broken, and someone was supposed to come by and fix it. All of these things tend to build up and cause stressors in the lives of our senior population. One of the things that we see a lot of in going back to the assisted living communities is, and this annoys me. This makes me really angry. As a matter of fact, is tricking their loved ones into going into an assisted living facility, and dropping people off and never having much interaction with them is a big issue in assisted living communities in South Carolina and in other places as well. One of the other stressors is for many of the seniors, in addition to the finances, and then you have the family issues. One of the other issues is, issues, as I mentioned before, issues that have been with them for a long time. And our therapists are able to go in and visit with these folks and help them to get out, to express some of these problems and issues that they have. So I think South Carolina needs some help when it comes to mental illness. And it seems like there's some other people on this call who probably might share that sentiment. I'm working, I've been personally, and Premier then also as well, have been a part of or working with the Lieutenant Governor, when it was the Lieutenant Governor's Office on Aging, and now it's just the Office of Aging, to help alleviate some of these issues. The State Attorney General's office, we're working Premier is listed on the SC Cares, which is the state's seniors resource center, one of the resource centers, in addition to senior resources. So there needs to be the state of the of mental health for seniors in South Carolina is getting better. It needs some help. And here's another reason that it needs help, is that there are, South Carolina, had it not been for COVID, is one of the fastest growing states for seniors in the United States. The Southeast region is a growing area to begin with, but South Carolina has become quite a popular place for seniors throughout the country. If COVID had not hit, the senior population, the over 65 population in South Carolina would have grown by 43% in 2021 had it not been for COVID. And so, with that growth in the senior population comes those other issues that the seniors here have as well. You've still got mental health issues. They're moving here. They're moving away from all their loved ones, or they're moving away from, things that they're accustomed to. So there's transitional issues. And again, now one of the movement has been traditionally to Horry County, the beach area, but as that area fills up, a lot of seniors are now moving into the Midlands area, into other places outside of those quote unquote resort type areas. So this is going to put a strain on the health system in South Carolina, because many of these people are going to require Medicaid assistance. And so that's something that we need to be prepared for. And I think everybody needs to be very aware of that this is going to be something that we're going to see in the future. So I don't want to get into a political conversation, but it could cause, in some cases, for our taxes to go up to cover the cost of healthcare for seniors that are living longer and migrating to this area. So.
All right, Mr. Bradford. Well, we really appreciate your time. And, as you talk about the stressors that seniors face, I know that is something that at Senior Resources, through our programs and the resources that we have, we are every day trying to tackle those stressors, whether it's, isolation, or just the financial strain of purchasing your food or getting to a doctor's appointment. I certainly can understand, the seniors out there just have an enormous amount of stress on them that can affect their mental health. And we are so appreciative of your time today. And we hope that this will be a resource for all of our seniors that are tuning in, and hopefully we'll play it back later. We have had some questions dropped in the chat box, and I'm not sure if anyone else has any additional questions that they would like to ask Mr. Bradford, but if you just want to take a quick look and glance through the chat box and see if we've been able to answer most of those, or if any new questions have come in, we have a few minutes left for questions.
Right. There are a couple of questions. How much time do we have? We have like a minute left to address these.
I think we can, just a couple minutes, we can go through. Okay.
One of the questions is, do hospitals still have floors that are specifically for people with mental illness challenges? That's an interesting question. It depends on where you go. In certain counties, I don't want to mention names if, there's one particular hospital that has incorporated a senior mental health division into it, and it is on a particular floor. It's not in Richland County. It's actually in Kershaw County. And I don't want to promote any one organization if I can avoid that. So yes, there are some organizations that do have floors that are specific to mental health and mental health illness challenges. So the next question, what are some of the things that cause someone to not have enough money? Limited income, limited resources, retirement. In other words, we have people who are living on, when you retire, in many cases, you're living on pretty much almost half of what your income was when you were working. So people have savings, people have inheritances, people have pensions, which don't exist anymore. But people have funds saved. Let me make it very general. People have funds that they'd saved, and under normal conditions, when they started saving, they could expect to have those funds take care of them for the rest of their lives. Give you just a brief example. When growing up in Pittsburgh, many people, especially in the male population, who had worked at a job for 30 years or longer, their average life expectancy after they retired from their job was 3 years. And growing up I come from a steel mill family, and growing up in a steel mill environment, that statistic was so true. When I learned that, I started recognizing that people, friends, family members, neighbors who had worked in the steel mills all their lives, after about 3 to 5 years, they didn't live any longer. So you had people who were dying at age 70, where we've got people now at age 70 running marathons and climbing mountains and scuba diving, and well into their 80s. So many people just weren't prepared to live this long. And so therefore, that's what's causing some people not to have enough money. So.
All right. Well, Mr. Bradford, we thank you for your time today. And Holly, we will be back together here on Thursday, May 5th, 10:30 a.m. I'm really excited about next month's presenter. We're going to have Harvest Hope's Erin Rowe here, and we are also going to be joined with the Department of Social Services, and they are going to present nutrition services for seniors in South Carolina. So that
Awesome.
Registration is already available on our website, and that's at seniorresourcesinc.org. And you can register for the event. It's on Thursday, May 5th at 10:30. And so we hope that you'll join us.
Great. Mr. Bradford, thank you for presenting today. This was very informative, and we hope that all of you enjoyed it, and we'll share with others when it's online later today. And this concludes our webinar, and we hope to see you all back in May.
Real quick, if anybody has any questions or needs more information, I think you all have my information. Feel free to share that with people so that if they have any questions or need statistics or a little more detail about certain things, feel free to reach out to me.
Absolutely. We will do that. We will get that contact information to our participants today. And thank you for joining us.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thanks. Bye. Bye, Holly.
Bye.
Bye.